The phone glowed on the kitchen counter, a silent accusation in the dark. It was hers, left behind after she'd kissed me goodnight. Too quick, too distracted. I wasn't snooping, not really, just picking it up to charge like always. But the screen lit up, and there it was. A missed call. 2:17 a.m. No name, just a number. My thumb hovered, heart thudding like I was already guilty. Why hadn't it rung? Why was it deleted from her call log but still there? A ghost in the notifications. I shouldn't have listened to the voicemail. That's what I tell myself now, staring at the ceiling while she sleeps upstairs. But I did. A man's voice, low, familiar in a way that made my skin crawl. "Meet me tomorrow, usual spot," he said. "We need to move fast." Move what? I played it again, then a third time, each word carving a crack in the life we'd built. 40 years, 2 kids, a house with a paid-off mortgage, and now this. I stood there, the linoleum cold under my feet, the fridge humming like it didn't care. The house felt different, like it was holding its breath. We'd moved to this suburb outside Raleigh in '98, back when the kids were small and the neighborhood felt like a promise. Coffee shops on every corner now, community picnics we never missed. I was the guy who fixed the church's leaky faucet, who waved at neighbors like nothing was wrong. But something was. Had been, maybe, for longer than I wanted to admit. She'd been distant lately. Not cold, not exactly, but distracted. Always on her phone, always running errands that took too long. I chalked it up to stress. Retirement wasn't what we'd expected. I missed teaching history at the high school, the rhythm of it. She missed her bookkeeping job, or so she said. But this, a late-night call, a man's voice, it wasn't just an errand. What was she moving, and why was it a secret? I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I wrote down the number, my hands shaking like I was defusing a bomb. The next morning, she was all smiles, brewing coffee, asking if I wanted eggs. "Slept okay?" she said, her voice light like she hadn't been up at 2 a.m. I nodded, watching her pour cream into her mug, the same mug she'd used for decades. It felt like a lie, that mug, like her smile. I waited till she left for book club. Book club, my ass. I called the number from a gas station payphone feeling like a fool in a bad movie. It rang twice, then went to voicemail. Same voice. "Leave a message," it said, no name. I hung up, my pulse loud in my ears. Back home, I checked her phone while it was still unlocked. She'd left it charging again. Careless. The call log was clean, but I found the voicemail in the deleted folder. Still there, like she wanted me to find it. Was she testing me, or was she just sloppy? I didn't know what to do, so I did nothing. That's what you do when your world tilts. You freeze. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing her face, the way she'd looked at me over dinner, like she was measuring something. I got up, crept downstairs, and checked her purse. Stupid, I know, but I was past pride. Inside, tucked in a side pocket, was a receipt, not for groceries or coffee, for a storage unit, paid in cash, dated last week. We didn't have a storage unit, or so I thought. I sat there, the receipt crumpled in my hand, the house too quiet. What was she hiding? Old love letters? A double life? Or something worse? I thought about the man's voice, the words, "Move fast." Move what? Money? Secrets? I didn't know, but I was going to find out. Tomorrow, I'd go to that storage unit. I'd get answers, even if they broke me. But as I climbed back into bed, her breathing soft beside me, I heard it. A faint buzz from her nightstand. Her phone, lighting up again. Another call, same number. I stared at the ceiling, my heart a fist in my chest. She didn't stir. Or maybe she did, and I just didn't want to see. The storage unit smelled of rust and regret, a metal box squatting in a row of identical cages on the edge of town. I stood there, the receipt from her purse creased in my pocket, the key I'd found in her coat heavy in my hand. The morning was gray, clouds pressing low, like they knew I shouldn't be here. I told her I was going for a walk, my voice steady despite the pulse hammering in my throat. She'd smiled, said to take an umbrella. That smile. It was a blade now. I hadn't slept after that second call lit up her phone last night. I'd lain there, her breathing even, wondering if she was dreaming of him. The man's voice from the voicemail looped in my head. Move fast. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew it wasn't love letters or late-night confessions. This was bigger, colder. The storage unit was my only lead, and I was here to crack it open. The lock clicked, and the door groaned as I rolled it up. Inside, the space was half empty, lit by a flickering bulb. Cardboard boxes, a few labeled books in her neat handwriting, others unmarked. A folding chair, a lamp without a shade. It looked normal, like we'd just downsized. But normal doesn't make your wife take calls at 2 a.m. I started with the boxes, my hands clumsy, expecting photos or keepsakes. Instead, I found folders, dozens of them, stuffed with bank statements, none in our names. I sat on the concrete floor, papers spread around me. Accounts I'd never heard of, balances that made my stomach lurch. Thousands, tens of thousands moving through names I didn't recognize. Her signature was on some, others had initials I couldn't place. What the hell was she doing? Was this why she'd been working late at the community center, volunteering for their fundraisers? I thought of her at those events, laughing, charming everyone. Had it all been a front? I found a small locked box under a tarp, the kind you'd keep jewelry in. No key, but I wasn't leaving without answers. I pried it open with a screwdriver from my car, the metal screeching in protest. Inside, no necklaces or rings, just a flash drive and a folded note. The note was in her handwriting. For D, when it's safe. D. The man from the voicemail? My chest tightened. I pocketed the drive, my mind racing. What was on it? Proof of her affair? Or something worse? I was about to leave when I heard tires crunching on gravel outside. My heart stopped. I ducked behind a stack of boxes, the door still half open. A car idled, then cut off. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. I held my breath, the screwdriver still in my hand, useless. The footsteps stopped just outside. A shadow fell across the floor, long and lean. I couldn't see a face, but I knew it wasn't her. She was at yoga class by now, or so she'd said. The shadow lingered, then moved away. The car started, tires fading into the distance. I waited, lungs burning before stepping out. The lot was empty, but a cigarette butt smoldered on the ground, fresh. Someone had been here, watching. For me? For her? I locked the unit, my hands shaking, and drove home, the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket. Back in our kitchen, I stared at my laptop, the drive plugged in. Password protected, of course. I tried her birthday, our anniversary, the kids' names. Nothing. I was about to give up when I remembered the note. For D. I typed D alone, a long shot. The screen blinked, files loading, spreadsheets, emails, photos. I clicked one, a grainy shot of her laughing with a man I didn't know. Not at a cafe or a park. At a bank, both of them holding envelopes. I scrolled, my throat dry. The emails mentioned transfers and offshore accounts. One name kept popping up, Daniel. D. Her lover? Her partner in whatever this was? I was still staring when the front door clicked open. Her voice called out cheerful, "Honey, I'm back." I slammed the laptop shut, my pulse a drum in my ears. She couldn't know I'd been there, not yet. But as she walked in, her eyes flicked to the laptop, then to me. Her smile didn't waver, but it was different now, sharper. "Everything okay?" she asked, setting her yoga mat down. I nodded, my mouth dry. I had the flash drive, the note, the truth, or part of it. But who was Daniel, and what were they moving? That night I hid the drive in my toolbox. I didn't sleep. My phone buzzed under my pillow, a text from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "You were seen." My blood ran cold. Someone knew I'd been at the unit. Was it her? Or him? The text message haunted me, its 3 words glowing in my mind like a warning sign. You were seen. I hadn't told her about the storage unit, hadn't breathed a word about the flash drive now hidden in my toolbox. But someone knew I'd been there, and that cigarette butt outside the unit wasn't random. I sat in my garage, the fluorescent light buzzing, staring at the phone I'd used to call that number. It was a burner, bought years ago for emergencies. No one had this number. No one but her, maybe. Or him. Daniel. I'd seen his name on the flash drive. Daniel, in emails about transfers and clean accounts. The photo of her with him at the bank, her laugh frozen in pixels, was worse than any love letter. It wasn't just an affair. It was calculated, planned. She'd been my wife for 40 years, the woman who'd cried with me when our son left for college, who'd danced with me at our daughter's wedding. And now, she was a stranger, moving money, moving lies. I hadn't opened the laptop again since she came home from yoga. Her sharp glance at it told me she suspected something, but she didn't ask. Neither did I. We ate dinner in silence, her fork scraping the plate like a countdown. I kept the flash drive close, its weight a reminder of what I'd found. Spreadsheets, offshore accounts, her signature on documents I couldn't fully decode. I wasn't an accountant, just a retired history teacher, but I knew enough to see this wasn't pocket change. This was our life, siphoned away. Morning came and she left for volunteering at the community center. I waited 10 minutes, then grabbed the flash drive and drove to the library. Public computers, no trace. The librarian, Mrs. Ellis, waved as I logged in. "Researching for the history club?" she asked. I forced a smile. Something like that. The drive loaded slowly, files spilling across the screen. More emails, more numbers. One caught my eye. A transfer confirmation, $50,000 to a company called Blue Horizon. I Googled it. Nothing but a vague website, a shell. Then I saw the signature on the email, D. Carver. Daniel Carver. Who was he? I searched his name, hands sweating. A LinkedIn profile popped up, a consultant based in Charlotte, smiling in a suit. No mention of Blue Horizon, but his face matched the man in the bank photo. My stomach twisted. I printed the profile, the paper warm in my shaking hands. Was he her lover, her partner, or both? And why our money? I was about to log out when an email notification pinged on the library computer. My burner phone, synced to a dummy account, had a new message. No subject, no sender name. Just a line. Stop digging or she pays. My breath caught. I glanced around. Mrs. Ellis was shelving books. A kid was playing games on another computer. No one watching. But I felt eyes, same as at the storage unit. I deleted the email, yanked the drive, and left. The printed profile crumpled in my pocket. Driving home, I kept checking my rearview mirror. A black sedan followed me for 2 blocks, then turned off. Paranoia, maybe, but that text wasn't a joke. Someone was watching, and they knew I was close. Close to what? Fraud? Worse? I thought about confronting her, slamming the drive on the table, demanding answers. But what if she lied again? What if Daniel was dangerous? When I got home, she was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, humming like nothing was wrong. "Early day?" I asked, my voice tighter than I meant. She didn't look up. "They didn't need me," she said, knife steady. I watched her hands, the same hands that signed those documents. Did she know about the texts? Was she playing me? Waiting for me to crack? I hid the profile with the drive in the garage, my mind spinning. I needed more before I faced her. The community center. She spent too much time there. Maybe the answers were in her volunteer work. I'd go tomorrow, blend in, see what she was really doing, but as I locked the toolbox, my burner buzzed again. Another text, this time a photo. Me, at the storage unit, stepping out of the shadows. My heart stopped. Below the image, one word. Careful. The community center smelled of coffee and old carpet, a cheerful hum of voices masking whatever she was hiding. I stood near the bulletin board, pretending to read flyers about knitting clubs and bake sales, my cap pulled low. She was here, somewhere, her laugh drifting from the back office. I'd come to find answers to see what volunteering really meant. The flash drive, the texts, the photo of me at the storage unit, they'd pushed me past doubt. This wasn't just her cheating. This was a machine, and she was a cog. The text from last night. Careful, with that grainy shot of me, sat like lead in my gut. I checked the burner phone this morning, half expecting another. Nothing yet, but the silence felt worse. Whoever sent it knew my face, my moves. Daniel Carver, probably. His LinkedIn smile haunted me, all teeth and secrets. I'd hidden the flash drive and his profile in the garage, but they weren't safe. Not with her in the house, her eyes catching every twitch I made. I moved toward the office, my sneakers silent on the tiled floor. A volunteer, gray-haired and chatty, waved me over. "You here for the fundraiser?" she asked, handing me a clipboard. I mumbled something about donating, signing a fake name. Through the office window, I saw her, my wife, leaning over a desk, papers spread out, her phone buzzing beside her. She didn't look up. Another woman, younger, was with her, nodding like they were planning a war. I lingered, flipping through a pamphlet. The fundraiser was for a local charity, Blue Horizon. My blood went cold. The same name from the flash drive, the shell company tied to those transfers. 50 grand, maybe more, funneled through accounts I didn't know we had. I glanced at her again. She was laughing, her hand brushing the younger woman's arm. Was this her cover? Charming the town while she bled us dry? I needed proof. I slipped into the hallway, past a staff-only sign, heart pounding. The office door was ajar, voices low inside. I crouched, pretending to tie my shoe, and listened. "Daniel's ready," the younger woman said. "The next batch moves tomorrow." My wife's voice, calm as ever. "Good. Keep it quiet." My chest tightened. Batch of what? Money? Something else? I pulled out my burner, snapped a blurry photo of the office through the crack. Stupid, risky, but I wasn't leaving empty-handed. Footsteps approached. I stood, backing into a supply closet, the door clicking shut just in time. Through the slats, I saw her pass, phone in hand, typing fast. She didn't look worried. She looked in control. I waited, sweat beading on my neck until the hallway cleared. Inside the closet, I found a box of fundraiser flyers. Blue Horizon's logo splashed across them. I tore one off, stuffed it in my pocket. It wasn't much, but it was something. Back home, I locked myself in the garage, the flyer and flash drive on my workbench. The flyer listed her as treasurer for the fundraiser. Treasurer. Perfect cover for moving money. I plugged in the drive, tried the files again. One email, buried deep, mentioned a meeting tomorrow at a diner on Route 40. Daniel would be there. My pulse raced. I could go, see him, hear him. But the texts, those warnings, stopped me. What if they were watching? She came home late, humming, her purse slung over her shoulder. "Long day?" I asked, stirring soup I hadn't tasted. She shrugged, smiled. "Just helping out." Her phone buzzed on the counter. She grabbed it fast, too fast, her fingers dancing across the screen. I watched, my jaw tight. Was she texting him? Planning their next move? I wanted to snatch it, demand the truth, but I'd lose her game if I did. That night I lay awake, her breathing steady beside me. I thought about the diner, Daniel's face, the money. I could end this tomorrow. Show up, record him, get proof. But the risks gnawed at me. The texts weren't bluffs. Someone had followed me, photographed me. I checked my burner under the covers, the screen's glow cold. A new message waited, no sender. A single line, Route 40 tomorrow. Don't. My breath stopped. They knew my plan before I'd made it. The diner on Route 40 smelled of grease and burned coffee, its neon sign flickering like a bad omen. I sat in a corner booth, the vinyl seat cracked, my burner phone heavy in my pocket. The text, Route 40 tomorrow. Don't had kept me up all night, its warning sharp as a blade. But I was here, against every instinct, to see him. Daniel Carver, the man whose name was on her emails, whose face laughed with her in that bank photo. I needed to know what they were moving, what she'd traded our life for. The community center had been a dead end, or so it seemed. Her role as treasurer for Blue Horizon, the fake charity, was a perfect mask. The flyer, the overheard talk of batches, the flash drive's spreadsheets, it all pointed to money, big money, funneled somewhere. But why? And why him? I'd left the house this morning with a lie about meeting an old colleague, her eyes following me too closely. She hadn't mentioned the diner, but her quick glance at her phone said enough. The bell above the door jingled. A man walked in, mid-50s, suit sharp but tired. Daniel. I knew him from the LinkedIn profile, the bank photo. He scanned the room, didn't see me, and sat at the counter ordering coffee. My heart pounded, but I stayed put, my cap low, a newspaper shielding my face. He checked his watch, then his phone, typing fast. Was he texting her? I wanted to storm over, demand answers, but the texts, those photos, those warnings, kept me glued to the seat. I snapped a photo with my burner, shaky but clear enough. Proof he was here. Then I noticed a woman outside, leaning against a black sedan, smoking. The same kind of car I'd seen tailing me. She wasn't looking my way, but her presence felt like a trap. Was she with him? Watching for me? I gripped the table, my knuckles white. What had I walked into? Daniel's phone rang. He answered, voice low, but I caught fragments. Tomorrow. Clean. She's ready. My blood ran cold. She. My wife. I leaned closer, straining to hear, when the waitress dropped a plate behind the counter. The crash made Daniel turn, his eyes sweeping the room. They landed on me for a second, narrowed, then moved on. Did he know my face? Had she shown him? I couldn't stay. I slid out of the booth, left a crumpled 5 on the table, and headed for the door. The woman outside was gone, but the sedan was still there, engine running. I kept my head down, walking fast to my car. Halfway across the lot, I heard footsteps behind me. I didn't turn, just fumbled for my keys, my pulse a drum. The footsteps stopped. I risked a glance. Nothing. Just the diner's glow, the empty road. But I felt it. That same weight from the storage unit. Eyes. In my car, I locked the doors, hands shaking as I started the engine. My burner buzzed. Another text, no sender. Wrong move. Attached was a photo, me in the diner, newspaper half raised. My stomach lurched. They'd been watching the whole time. I drove home, checking my mirrors, the sedan nowhere in sight, but it didn't matter. They knew where I was, what I was doing. She was in the living room when I got back, reading a book, her legs curled under her. "Good meeting?" she asked, not looking up. Her voice was too calm, too perfect. I nodded, muttering about traffic, my mind on the flash drive hidden in the garage. I needed to crack it, find the last piece. The emails mentioned a final transfer tomorrow. If I could trace it, I'd have her. Them. I waited till she went to bed, then slipped into the garage. The drive loaded, but the files were locked tighter than before, a new password I couldn't guess. I tried Daniel, Carver, Blue Horizon. Nothing. Then I saw it, a new file uploaded yesterday, a single document titled 4D. I clicked, expecting a wall. It opened. One line. Meet at the lake, midnight. Burn it. Burn what? The evidence. Our life? I froze, hearing a creak from the house. The garage door was locked, but I felt her presence like she was waiting. My burner buzzed, the screen lighting up. No text this time, just a live feed. A grainy video of our front porch, right now. A figure stood there, face hidden, holding something. My heart stopped. Was it Daniel? Or someone else? The live feed on my burner phone froze. The grainy image of that figure on our porch burned into my eyes. A hooded shape, holding something, maybe a letter, maybe worse, stood under the porch light, motionless. I gripped the phone, my breath shallow, the garage's shadows pressing in. The document on the flash drive, for D. Meet at the lake, midnight. Burn it, echoed in my head. Burn what? Evidence? Our savings? My life? I didn't know, but I was done waiting for her to slip. I'd seen her that evening, folding laundry, her face calm as ever. She'd asked about my day, her voice smooth, like she wasn't planning a midnight rendezvous. I'd mumbled something, my mind on the diner. Daniel's sharp glance, the woman by the sedan. The texts, wrong move, careful, weren't pranks. Someone was watching, and now they were here, at my door. I crept to the living room, the house dark, her soft snores drifting from upstairs. The porch was empty now, no figure, no car, but a small envelope lay on the welcome mat, my name scrawled in unfamiliar ink. I didn't touch it, not yet. I locked the door, checked the windows, my heart a fist. Back in the garage, I opened the flash drive again, desperate for answers. The 4D file hadn't changed, but I found another, buried in a subfolder. A scanned lease for a cabin near Lake Jordan, signed by her, dated last month. We didn't own a cabin. I Googled the address. Remote, wooded, a perfect place to burn something. Or someone. My skin crawled. I thought about the community center, her treasurer role for Blue Horizon, the fake charity. The flash drive's spreadsheets showed millions, not thousands, moving through offshore accounts. Daniel Carver was in it, but she was the key. Her signature, her meetings, her lies. I'd been a fool, waving at neighbors, fixing faucets while she built a double life. But who was the figure on the porch? Daniel? A hired hand? I needed to know, and the lake was my only lead. I drove out at 11 p.m., telling myself I'd just watch, not act. The burner phone stayed silent, no new texts, but I felt eyes on me, same as at the diner. Lake Jordan was 30 minutes away. The road twisting through pines, the night thick with fog. I parked a quarter-mile from the cabin, headlights off, and walked, my boots crunching on gravel. The air was cold, the lake a black mirror under the moon. I crouched behind a tree, the cabin's silhouette barely visible, a single light flickering inside. 2 cars were parked out front, a sedan like the one at the diner, and a pickup I didn't recognize. Voices carried, low and tense. I edged closer, my burner ready to record. It was her voice, sharp, not laughing now. "We're done after this," she said. A man, Daniel, I was sure, replied, "Not till it's gone." Something rustled nearby, and I froze. A twig snapped too close. I turned, but no one was there. Just the dark and my pulse hammering. I focused on the cabin. A faint glow, like a fire starting, lit the windows. Were they burning it now? Papers? Evidence? I inched forward, phone raised when my burner vibrated. A new message. No sender. "You don't listen." Attached was another photo. Me, right now, crouched by the tree. My blood turned to ice. I spun, scanning the woods, but saw nothing. The glow in the cabin grew brighter, smoke curling from the chimney. Her voice rose, angry, then cut off. I should have run. But I stayed, rooted, the phone shaking in my hand. The cabin door opened and a figure stepped out. Not her, not Daniel. Taller, broader, carrying a metal case. They didn't look my way, just climbed into the pickup and drove off, taillights fading. I waited, lungs tight, until the sedan pulled out too. Her voice silent now. The cabin was dark, the fire gone. Had they burned it? Or was it a decoy? I stumbled back to my car, the envelope from the porch still unopened in my pocket. I tore it open under the dashboard light. A single key, no note, no explanation. A key to what? The cabin? Something else? I drove home, my mind a tangle of fear and fury. She was asleep when I crept in, her phone dark on the nightstand. But I knew better now. She wasn't just cheating, she was running something, and I was in the way. Morning broke, gray and heavy. I hid the key with the flash drive, my hands unsteady. I had to end this, but how? The lake, the key, the figure, who was pulling the strings? Then my burner buzzed, a final text. Cabin. Tomorrow. Alone. My heart stopped. It was a trap, and I was already caught. The key from the envelope felt like a shard of ice in my pocket as I drove back to Lake Jordan. The text, cabin, tomorrow, alone, hadn't left my mind, its threat clear as the fog rolling off the lake. I'd seen her that morning, pouring coffee, her smile a mask I no longer trusted. She hadn't asked where I was going when I mumbled about errands. Maybe she knew. Maybe she'd sent the key, the texts, the figure on the porch. Or maybe Daniel Carver had. His name a splinter in every file on that flash drive. The cabin loomed ahead, its windows dark, the pines swallowing what little moonlight broke through. I parked far enough to stay unseen, my burner phone off, the key my only guide. The last time I was here, I'd watched her and Daniel plan to burn it, smoke curling from the chimney as a third figure left with a metal case. Burn what? Evidence of Blue Horizon's fraud? Our savings? I'd find out tonight, even if it broke me. The gravel path crunched under my boots, each step louder than I wanted. The cabin was silent, no cars, no glow. I circled it, checking for traps, my breath fogging in the cold. The key fit the back door, the lock clicking like a confession. Inside, the air was stale, heavy with the faint char of a recent fire. A table, 2 chairs, a cold fireplace. No papers, no files. Just a single envelope, sealed, sitting on the table. My name in her handwriting. I tore it open, my hands unsteady. A note, short and sharp. You shouldn't have come. Leave the drive. Walk away. My stomach dropped. She knew I had the flash drive, knew I was here. Was this her warning? Or his? I stuffed the note in my pocket, searching the cabin. The fireplace held ashes, scraps of burned paper clinging to the grate. I knelt, sifting through them, my fingers blackening. A fragment caught my eye, part of a bank statement, her signature faint but clear. Blue Horizon, $200,000 dated yesterday. I froze, hearing a car engine in the distance. Headlights swept the trees, then cut off. I doused my flashlight crouching by the window. A sedan, the same one from the diner, idled 100 yards out. 2 figures stepped from it, one her silhouette, unmistakable. The other was Daniel, his voice low, urgent. "He's here," he said. "Check inside." My heart slammed against my ribs. She'd set me up, lured me with the key. I backed toward the door, the note crumpling in my fist. But I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I grabbed the bank fragment, stuffed it with the note. The fireplace had a loose brick. I'd seen it while searching. I pried it out, hiding the flash drive inside, then replaced it. If they wanted it, they'd have to tear the place apart. Footsteps crunched outside, her voice closer now. "He's not stupid," she said, almost sad. "He'll run." Run? I wasn't running. Not anymore. I slipped out the back, the key still in my pocket, and ducked into the woods. Branches scratched my face, but I kept moving. The lake's edge my guide. Their voices faded, but I heard the cabin door creak open. They'd find the envelope, the ashes, but not me. Not the drive. I reached my car, lungs burning, and checked my burner. A new text, no sender. Last chance, give it up. Attached was a photo, me leaving the cabin, caught mid-step. My blood ran cold. They were still watching, always one move ahead. But the video, the fragment, the key, they were mine now. I had a proof, and I'd use it. Tomorrow, I'd follow the transfer. I'd end this. Then the doorbell rang, sharp in the silence. I froze, my hand on the laptop. Through the window, a shadow moved on the porch. Not her, not Daniel. Someone new. The doorbell's echo lingered, sharp and wrong in the midnight quiet. I stood frozen, the laptop screen still glowing with the video of her voice calm as she planned the final transfer with a man whose face I couldn't see. The shadow on the porch shifted, a dark blur through the window. Not her, she was out, volunteering again. Not Daniel, whose smug smile I'd memorized. Someone else, someone tied to the key, the cabin, the texts that tracked my every move. My hand hovered over the burner phone, the last message. Cabin. Tomorrow. Alone. Still burning in my mind. I didn't open the door. Instead, I crept to the side window, peering through the blinds. The porch was empty now, but a folded paper lay on the mat, my name scrawled in sharp ink. Another trap, like the envelope with the key. I left it there, my heart pounding, and locked every bolt. Back in the garage, I pulled the flash drive from its hiding spot, the bank fragment and cabin note beside it. The video had unlocked more files overnight, emails all from her to an account labeled D. Carver. One line stood out. After tomorrow, we're free. Blue Horizon ends. Free from what? Me. Our life. I played the video again, her words slicing deeper each time. The last transfer's tomorrow, she'd said, her tone cold, professional. The man nodded, his back to the camera. A stranger in a suit. Not Daniel. A third player. Blue Horizon wasn't just a fake charity. It was a pipeline, moving millions, her signature on every step. The bank fragment from the cabin proved it. $200,000, wired yesterday. Her name clear as day. I'd been blind, fixing faucets, waving at neighbors while she orchestrated this. Morning came, gray and heavy. She was in the kitchen when I woke, buttering toast, her phone silent for once. "You're quiet," she said, not looking up. Her voice was soft, almost tender, like the woman I'd married 40 years ago. I shrugged, my throat tight. The note from the porch. "Bank's done. Meet at the pier." Folded in my pocket. "Just tired," I lied, watching her hands, the same hands that signed away our life. She smiled, but her eyes were sharp, searching. Did she know I'd seen the video? The ledger with L. Monroe's name? I left before noon, the pier 30 minutes away, a public stretch of wood and salt air by Raleigh's waterfront. Crowds would keep me safe, I thought. I parked a block off, cap low, the flash drive and note in my jacket, the key in my shoe, a paranoid move, but I wasn't taking chances. The pier was busy, families eating ice cream, joggers weaving through. I scanned for her, for Daniel's smug face, for the man from the video whose face I'd never seen. Nothing. Just the water lapping below, the sun too bright. At 2:55, my burner buzzed. A text, no sender. End of pier. Now. My pulse spiked. I walked, the crowd thinning as the boards stretched over the water. A man stood at the railing, alone, his back to me. Not Daniel. Taller, older, in a gray coat. I stopped 10 feet away, my hand on the drive. "You have something for me?" he said, not turning. His voice was low, unfamiliar, like the man in her video. L. Monroe, maybe. I didn't answer, my mouth dry. Was this the trap? He turned, his face lined, eyes cold. "The drive," he said, holding out a hand. I stepped back, the pier's edge too close. "Where's she?" I asked, my voice steady despite the fear. He smiled, thin and sharp. "Not here. Give it up, and you walk." Walk? From what? Her? Him? The investigation the bank teller mentioned? I gripped the drive, my mind racing. The ledger, the emails, her signature. They were my leverage, not his. A woman's voice cut through the air. "Stop." I spun, and there she was, stepping from the crowd, her face pale but calm. My wife. No Daniel, no sedan. Just her, hands empty, eyes locked on mine. "Give it to him," she said, her voice low, almost pleading. I stared, the pier swaying under me. Was this her plan? Hand over the proof? Let them bury it? Why? I asked, my voice breaking. What's Blue Horizon? Who's he? The man in the coat didn't move, but his smile faded. She stepped closer, her gaze flicking to him, then back to me. You don't understand, she said. It's not what you think. Not an affair? Not fraud? I laughed, bitter, the drive burning in my hand. I know enough, I said, thinking of the millions, her signature, the cabin's ashes. She shook her head, but before she could speak, a shout came from the pier's start. 2 men in suits, badges flashing, pushing through the crowd. The bank investigation. They'd found her. The man in the coat swore, backing away, but there was nowhere to go. I froze, the drive still in my hand, her eyes wide with something. Fear? Regret? Run, she whispered, grabbing my arm. Run. With her? From her? The suits were closer, shouting her name, not mine. I pulled free, my heart a drum. The pier was a cage, and I'd walked right in. My burner buzzed, a final text. Too late. I looked up, and the man in the coat was gone, vanished into the crowd. She stood alone, the suits closing in, her face unreadable. I had the drive, the key, the truth. But as the first suit reached her, cuffing her wrists, I saw it, a glint in her eyes. Not defeat, something else. The pier's boards creaked under my feet as the suits led her away, her wrists cuffed, her face a mask I couldn't read. The crowd gaped, phones out, filming the fall of the woman who'd charmed their bake sales. My wife, the mastermind of Blue Horizon, caught at last. But that glint in her eyes, not defeat, not regret, stuck with me, sharp as the key in my shoe. She wasn't done. Neither was I. Neither was I. The flash drive, the note, the bank fragment. They were still mine, and L. Monroe, whoever he was the missing piece. I slipped through the crowd, the man in the coat long gone, his demand for the drive unanswered. My burner buzzed as I reached my car. A final text, no sender. You'll regret this. I didn't reply. The pier faded in my rearview, but her words echoed. It's not what you think. Fraud, yes. Millions, yes. But an affair? I wasn't sure anymore. Daniel Carver's face, the bank photo, the cabin's ashes, they blurred into something bigger, colder. I needed the truth, all of it, before I decided her fate. Back home, the house felt hollow, her perfume lingering like a ghost. I locked myself in the garage, the flash drive loading on my laptop. The ledger's last entry, L. Monroe, $50,000, nagged at me. I searched the files again, digging through emails. One, buried deep, wasn't to Daniel. It was from her to LM. The cut's yours when it's done. He can't know. He, me. I Googled L. Monroe, Raleigh. A hit. Leonard Monroe, private investigator, office downtown. Not her lover, her fixer. I drove to his office, a grimy storefront with a flickering sign. The receptionist, chewing gum, barely looked up. He's out, she said. I showed her the bank fragment, my voice low. Tell him I know about Blue Horizon. Her eyes widened and she scribbled a note. I left, my pulse steady for the first time in weeks. Monroe wasn't at the pier, but he'd been there, pulling strings. The man in the video, the figure on the porch, the texts, they were his, keeping me in line while she moved the money. That night I sat in the dark, the drive's files spread across the screen. The video played on loop, her in that office planning the final transfer with Monroe. Not love, not lust. Business. She'd built Blue Horizon to siphon millions, using the community center as a front, Daniel as a pawn, Monroe as muscle. Our savings were gone, funneled offshore, but the bank's investigation had frozen the last transfer. She'd slipped, and I'd caught her. I thought about confronting her, slamming the drive on the table, watching her crack. But that wasn't enough. She'd played me for years, smiling over coffee while she stole our life. I wanted her to feel it, not just hear it. I copied the drive's files, ledgers, emails, the video, onto a USB stick. Then I drove to the community center, the place she'd used to fool everyone. The night janitor let me in, thinking I was there to fix a pipe. I left the stick on the fundraiser table, labeled Blue Horizon Truth, with a note for the board. Morning came, and I filed for divorce. The papers were simple, the lawyer's office cold. I didn't need her excuses, her tears. The community center was buzzing by noon, whispers spreading. The board had the stick, the files, her name. Her friends, the ones she'd charmed, turned away when she showed up, her face pale. The local paper ran a story by evening. Charity fraud rocks suburb. Her mug shot, not mine. I met Monroe a week later in a diner, not the one on Route 40. He slid into my booth, no coat, no threats. "You're smarter than she thought," he said, sipping coffee. I didn't smile. "Why'd you help her?" I asked. He shrugged. "Money, same as her." He'd sent the texts, the photos, to keep me scared, but the bank's investigation spooked him. He'd vanished at the pier, leaving her to fall. I handed him the key from the cabin, useless now. "Keep it," I said. He took it, left. She called from jail, her voice small, asking to talk. I didn't answer. The divorce went through, the house sold, the kids, stunned but safe. I moved to a small apartment, the flash drive locked in a safe. I'd won, but it didn't feel like victory. Her last lie, her glint on the pier, wasn't about love or money. It was about power, and I'd taken it back. But late at night, my burner buzzed one last time. No sender, just a photo. The key on a chain, somewhere dark. I stared, my heart cold. She was gone, but someone wasn't.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe my channel for more stories.